Peggy 16.
For the first time ever, it is my privilege to sit down with the reigning WWE champion CM Punk and the WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin, as we're going to try to explain to you folks exactly why WWE 13 is without question the greatest video game in the history of technology. But before we get into our sales pitch, if you will, we got some other ground to cover. 1997, you were just getting your career started. The Attitude Era in WWE was red hot. Do you think, looking back on that talent roster, when you were in your formative years in your career, how would you have fared now back in that period?
If you take current CM Punk and you drop him in midst of the Attitude Era, I think he survives. So what I do is I swim with sharks, and I think the waters back then were full of more sharks than they are today. It wouldn't be easy. I don't like things to be easy. I would still be champion, and I would rubbing elbows with Rock and Stone Cold and everybody else who wanted a shot at my championship.
So you're very confident you would do more than survive. You would thrive in that environment with a Hall of Fame laden talent roster.
Absolutely.
Steve, your thoughts on watching CM Punk's work today, knowing what you went through in the late 90s and the Attitude Era, how do you think you would have fared?
Well, it's pure speculation because we can't build a magical time ship and take CM Punk back to the Attitude Era and let him perform in the squared circle with the likes of The Rock or Stone Cold or anybody else. But for him to sit there and say that he believes he can swim with the sharks and end up being a champion is admirable. I wouldn't expect him to say anything else. Hey, sit there and expect you to say, oh no, the competition was way too stiff. I wouldn't have survived, there wouldn't have been nobody. I don't know how CM Punk would have done back in. Certainly, I've recognized what kind of talents he's got. He's got a championship right now. He's kicking ass right now in the current system. But to take his ass back to the Attitude Era, pure speculation.
Speaking of the Attitude Era, looking at today's product, how do you compare the difference in the Attitude Era and today's WWE? What strikes you as the most stark difference from then to now?
Boy, I tell you what, when I look back at the Attitude Era, you had a dressing room full of individuals who were ready to go out there and kick ass, kick, scratch, and claw to get to the top of the ladder. In today's current system, I might see 1, 2, or 3, Punk included, that will kick, scratch, and claw to get to the top of that ladder. I see a lot of people who are satisfied with just being on TV. Well, hell, son, to me, being on TV is being on TV. That man's got a gold belt in his lap, and that's what this business has always been about, and that's what I believe it's about. You gotta want that damn thing. Don't cut me off either.
Would never dream of it. I would say that the Attitude Era had a locker room full of men that liked to fight, that liked to compete. They all wanted to be number one. I see, with the exception of a handful of guys in WWE, that the one thing that this roster has over the Attitude Era is that this roster probably can play video games better.
Well, if that's what you think about when you look at, I'm going to call it my locker room. Mm-hmm. If you look at my locker room and you just think that we can play video games better than, say, those from the Attitude Era, I question why somebody like Rock wants to come back and test his mettle against the John Cenas and the CM Punks of this era. You know, he's not a fossil. He's not a dinosaur. He's not a relic from a forgotten time. No, he's a competitor, and he wants to compete with the best. You can't build what did you call it? You didn't say time machine. You had some sort of Texas word for it. A DeLorean, let's say. You can't fire up your flux capacitor and jump in the DeLorean and bring CM Punk back to the Attitude Era, you know, and that's not what Rock's doing. Rock's just a competitor. He can't compete back in the Attitude Era. He's got to compete within the system now, and that's what he's doing.
Great thing about it is on WWE 13, that time machine exists. And Steve, for some young folks today, what can they expect if they aren't familiar with the Stone Cold? Because your attitude, your moveset, everything about what you did in the Attitude Era lives vibrantly in this game. What What is it that's going to surprise them about what Stone Cold does in the ring when they put you in game mode?
It allows youth around the world to open up their own can of whoop ass, as Stone Cold Steve Austin would have done back in the day. Video game technology's come a long way, Jim. You and I know that.
Yep.
And don't stare at me with them little beady eyes.
Well, moving right along here, modern day Stone Cold and today's WWE. How would he fit in your locker room? You said it's your locker room, so
I can't wait to hear this.
how would he fit in your locker room?
How would I fit there in
Would
the
he have to
locker
go through an
room? See
initiation?
I think he was asking me if you would please allow me to retort. Stone Cold from the Attitude Era. You know what I'm going to say? It's Stone Cold now. He fits in the locker room just fine. Although I probably think he doesn't want to be in the locker room. You know?
Why would you say that?
He's his own man. He's an individual. You know him better than anybody. You know, you guys are pals. Stone Cold was the CM Punk of his time. You know, he doesn't care what anybody else thinks of him. He's going to run through their brick wall. He's going to get what he wants. What he wants is the WWE Championship. And yeah, would he coexist with the locker room? You know, maybe not as friendly as you would think. You know, but that's not what this is about. That's not what this business is about. He doesn't want to make friends. Not then, not now. He wants to be the best. He would exist, absolutely, and he would thrive.
Exist, thrive, how would you put it, Steve? Because right now it seems like in the landscape of WWE that John Cena and CM Punk are the two top dogs. How would you hunt with those dogs if you were to walk back in there tomorrow?
Well, let me tell you something. You know, when you talk CM Punk, when you talk to John Cena, you're talking the cream of the crop. As far as the rest of the locker room goes, probably need 2 moves to decimate that entire locker room. Maybe 3 or 4 for CM Punk or John Cena. I would walk in that locker room, open up a can of whoop ass, and serve it to everyone there. I didn't get in this business, whether it was in the Attitude Era or in today's landscape, to be second fiddle to nobody, to jerk the curtain, to be in the middle of the pack. Have I been there? Yeah, I've been there and did it. And I worked my ass to get to the top. So if I went into today's landscape, I'd go up to CM Punk and I'd shake his damn hand. I'd look him in the eye. I'd just go ahead and give him fair warning. I wouldn't give anybody fair warning back in the day. I'd let him know that that little title he had around his waist or on his shoulder, wherever he carries it, was about to be mine, whenever and wherever I wanted it. Because with a snap of my fingers, I'd drop him on that stack of dimes he calls the next Stone Cold Stunner. He's looking up the lights, 1, 2, 3. And the same thing would happen to Cena. So don't think I'm singling you out or picking on you. We're just talking video games, right?
Absolutely.
Just video games, just WWE 13, 'cause that's what it's all about. That's why we're here. It brings up an interesting point. If you're on the internet for like more than 35 or 40 seconds, somebody's always suggesting that what would it be like for Stone Cold to wrestle CM Punk? Will it ever happen? Well, it is going to happen. That's a revelation for people here today. It is going to happen. It's going to happen beginning in October. And it's going to happen until further notice on WWE 13. And it's going to happen in a variety of ways, a variety of stipulations, a variety of environments, a variety of arenas. But Steve, do you get tired of being asked that question? What if Stone Cold actually stepped in the ring with CM Punk?
It'd be an interesting damn sight to see.
Yep.
Because in today's system, CM Punk is vaulted to the top of the WWE. He's got championship gold right there sitting in his lap. I think he can go higher than he has before. I think he just needs to be pushed and prodded, which is exactly what Stone Cold Steve Austin could do. I think I could get under his damn skin, and I think he'd show a bigger mean streak than he has in the past. And I think if anybody could get the best out of CM Punk, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I ain't sitting here blowing a bunch of smoke up your ass because you're 5 feet from me. That's just the way it is.
What if?
What if?
Yep.
It would be interesting. I don't think there's two more disagreeable people in the world who also have a tremendous amount in common with each other, whether he wants to admit it or not. Do people want to see it? Yeah, I think so. And people can see it. They can play it in the video game, WWE 13. And the funny thing is I see him over there. Steve, I see you looking at this. You know, I'm not looking at your watch. I don't want your watch. I don't want anything you have. But I see you. I see you looking at my title. So what if?
What if? The only reason the damn thing's sitting in your lap right now is because I hadn't gone after it. But if I ever decided to go after it, some bitch would be in my lap.
Really, you think so?
I think we all know so.
I disagree. I think if Stone Cold got in the ring with CM Punk, I think it's another W in the column for CM Punk. I mean,
I would disagree with you, son.
Of course, Jim, we're just talking about video games.
Of course.
Of course.
But video game, we're in a real 20 by 20 ring supplied by WWE. 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes. It don't matter to me, Punk. At the end of the match, your belt would belong to Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that's the bottom line because I said so.
What if? Well, I guess I'll just leave it at this. May the best man win.
Oh, I would. I damn sure would.